Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to your favorite podcast. I think I'd missed a couple of episodes and I've also missed you. And I would like for you to subscribe before we even start. Please subscribe and turn on the notification so that when we upload new content, you'll be the first to be notified. This is JailBreak Africa, a podcast that comes to you every other Friday, weekly. Yes, to give you African stories, business stories. Basically, we are trying to change the narrative. We are trying to decolonize the African mind by stimulating ourselves to think differently, to think Africanly about African problems. And of course, I am joined by Jerry Zungu, the chartered vendor.
I'm excited today. So this man is now back in action. And he's back and I'm super excited. It's nice to always have you guys on this program. By the way, you've got a video which actually went viral in Africa. I noticed it was in Zambia, Nigeria, Malawi. People busy commenting about the process of registering companies in Africa.
Yeah.
Someone was actually saying in DRC, you need to submit a form. Then you wait after 2 years, you submit.
2 years. So, you know what? I like it when our conversations spill into a bigger conversation across the continent. And I'm happy that people from different countries are jumping in. And it is my hope also that the authorities in each and every one of those African countries are also watching the content.
Exactly.
So that they learn where they are falling short.
Exactly.
Because they may think, one thing that I know about governments, they're so good at writing policies.
That's true. But
then the wheels break down when it comes to implementation.
But what happens?
I don't know.
Let's first talk about that before we even delve into what has changed in other African states. Because I know for a fact that Zimbabwe is now online.
Yes.
They're now saying company registration is now being done online.
Yeah.
Yes, congratulations. It has been done. Probably they'd listen to this podcast. But anyway.
Yeah.
The Zimbabwean, the dates haven't been adjusted yet.
Yeah.
Like the time period. But now I know for a fact that we're now online.
Okay.
But anyway, coming back to policies and government.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of blueprints when you read African governments' blueprints. When you look at your policies, when they're being written on paper, you think that Africa is going to be heaven. So what happens in terms of implementation? Well, where do you think the problem is?
Okay, let me tell you a funny story. This story dates back to the days when my father was working for Harare City Council, which is like the water treatment facility in Zimbabwe for Harare, city of Harare. So he was a water bailiff there. So what he was supposed to be doing he was doing dam inspections, checking the dam levels. Then from the numbers that he gets, he then calculates how much capacity we have to supply the total residents that receive tap water. That was his job.
Okay.
So there was a very big pump that was installed by the whites. And then it was now failing to function according to capacity. So they needed a new pump. So the new pump was in German. So they wrote a requisition and then the city council, I don't know who was the mayor then, said, you know what, let the people go to Germany and see the pump and see whether it fits the working environment.
How many people went?
How many people? Who? The question should be who, not how many people. Who? So you'd think my dad was part of the team that worked with the pump on a daily basis. Do you know who went? There was a person who was called the superintendent. He would reside over the whole plant altogether. So the superintendents from the Harare City Council, Morton Jeffrey, the one from Prince Edward Dam, Warren Park, they are the ones who went. And they know nothing about
the person who's supposed to deal with the pump because there were allowances.
Right. So they went, they lived in Germany, expensive hotels, everything paid for. It was like a vacation. So they go through the tour. You know, the engineers in Germany, they're serious. They think these guys are technical. They know what they're doing. So they give them spec to spec about the pump. Now these guys, they come back. The engineers who are supposed to then implement, they now start asking questions. So what is the throughput of that pump? What is throughput? They don't even understand. All they know is the pump is blue and very big. And the engineers told us it's capable. So now back to your question. The problem is When have you ever
When you're
noticed
talking
when,
about water, I've got Ravine water.
yeah,
by
yeah,
the
of
way.
course, our proud sponsors.
Yes.
Thank you for sponsoring. And if you'd like also for us to feature your products on our podcast, you can get in touch with the numbers that are rolling on the screen
Yes.
somewhere. I don't know where they're placed, but they just get in touch. And this is Ravine.
Ravine water.
Yes.
Yes.
And confirm this is 100% local.
100% local, still water,
Yes.
clean. You can see that
Support
I'm
the
actually
brand.
even
If you see
drinking.
it, if you see it in the supermarket, please support. I want to drink it, but I'm still speaking. I'll drink when you're speaking. So what happens now is when governments do the government exchange programs where they allow certain ministers to go to see how other countries are doing certain things. Like I'll give you an example. Rwanda is one of the countries that is ranked the easiest to do business. So we can have our ministers or our government departments going there to Rwanda to see how they've structured the company registration. The people who are supposed to go are the people who work by the registrar's office, who do the work so that they can compare the process.
officers.
Exactly, the officers.
Who are running
But
day
here,
to day running of
The
business.
person who goes is the person responsible for that ministry. And they are
And
they've
got no clue. They don't
Exactly.
even know the process.
Exactly.
When you ask about CR6, they don't even have any clue.
They don't even know. So what they will do is they will write a very brilliant policy document in their office. But mind you, this person is not even reachable or accessible to the ordinary officer. If you want to see them, you go through the director and it's a appointment after appointment after appointment, postponement until you grow
They've
tired.
got a PA and their PA has got another PA.
Exactly. So you now have a very good structured document. But the people who are supposed to implement it are disconnected from the process of originating that document. So eventually, anything that is for you but excludes you in the process, then it's not for you. So they'll continue doing things the way they know how to do them. And you have these amazing policies, but what's on the ground is totally different.
As you're also talking about Cesar Ferrari, there's a story which I also read in another article whereby it was being said that they implemented an ERP software. So that's an enterprise resource planning software, which means it was going to do bills, your accounting, everything to do with the city council.
Yeah.
I heard that it's now 5 years. They're still implementing that software. It's not working.
You know what? Funny enough, you talk about that ERP. Do you know that coupled with that ERP was supposed to be an intersection traffic offense reporting system?
Exactly.
In some intersections, they actually installed some cameras. Do you know that they don't work? To this day, they do
when
not
were they
work.
installed?
I think they were installed in 2020, just before COVID struck.
And the cameras are not working.
Yeah, they're not working. They're not connected to anything.
Before we even talk of cameras,
have
you ever noticed the trend with robots?
These days, don't even go
Do
there.
we even have someone who's repairing robots?
No one.
And it seems it's not even. This is not even a Zimbabwean problem only. I also even noticed in Zambia, it's now normal for police officers to control traffic.
You know
in
what?
this digital world.
A part of actually, you've delved into another interesting issue. I hope you knew about this. So this is what happened. There's a big power project that is happening between Zimbabwe and Zambia. It's a very big project. I think it's worth about 4.5 billion. So we were looking for sponsors to finance the project. Then they recoup their money bit by bit.
Yeah.
So the two countries involved is Zambia and Zimbabwe. Guess what Zambia did recently? They defaulted on their debt. So basically what it means is when a country defaults on its debt, it becomes unattractive to lenders. Nobody wants to lend money to it.
Debt was from
the debt. I think some other IMF is included. Actually, IMF is the one that facilitated the debt restructuring until they defaulted.
That's why Kwacha is on a free fall.
Right. So what then happens is Zimbabwe and Zambia are tied together. We are categorized under one group of countries. So if one of us defaults, then all of us become unattractive for debt. So the energy project, which is supposed to power these traffic lights, one of the key players has defaulted on their debt. So there's no more funder for that project.
For the lights?
For the power.
Okay.
To grow the capacity. And the rains haven't been so favorable these days. So we have low dam levels. So that means power generation through hydro is going to be minimal.
But I've noticed that I think thumbs up to the Zimbabwean government okay, probably I'll say this for my area, or probably the time which I arrive at home, I haven't noticed any power cuts, but I don't know whether they're happening in the morning.
Okay.
Okay, but it's a story of another day.
Okay,
but
story for another day.
coming to the traffic lights, Steve,
Mm.
they're traffic lights.
Mm.
These are traffic lights. I've noticed that there's now a technology. There's now solar traffic lights.
Yeah.
But I've noticed even the solar ones are not also working. What's the problem?
Now it's a matter
We are
of
looking at the
maintenance.
city council.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's a matter of maintenance.
Maintenance.
They
So
don't
where is the
want-
problem? Well, these guys, they are staffed in their numbers.
Mm.
If you notice those guys, my brothers from the city council, we've got no problem with you guys. But before they start work, when they come to repair your pumps,
Yeah.
they'll make sure that first they'll come at around 9. They don't come at 8, never.
Mm.
They come at around 9.
Mm.
Then the first thing they'll do is they'll cook
Mm.
sadza
Yes.
or pap or roshima in Zambia.
Yeah.
After probably eating it around 10:30, then they now start digging. After digging, before you know it, it's now
Lunchtime,
12:30.
yeah.
They want to also go for lunchtime.
Yes.
3:00, they're done.
You know, our work ethic, it's bad. It's very bad. You know what I like about the white community, they understand that for this bottle to continue functioning as a bottle, it needs to be maintained.
Exactly.
Here we say if it's working, then there's no need to
Oh,
touch it.
if these mics are working, there's no need to
Yeah.
service them. If a car is still the wheels are still rolling.
Yes.
No.
If it wakes up on one
It's
gig,
still working.
perfect.
Yeah.
So that's the mentality that we have. So by the time things start to break down, half the time they're even beyond repair.
Repair, exactly.
Because I remember in Mutare, one of the cities that we have in Zimbabwe,
yeah.
there are solar traffic lights. The guys in Mutare, they're so active. The same traffic lights, in fact, the same contractor who did the traffic lights in Mutare is the one who did the same ones in Harare.
Harare.
The ones in Mutare are still working. The ones in Harare, some of the solar panels, they're even missing. So you think, who would climb that pole that is in the middle of a highway? You know, Harare's highway these days,
It's busy.
it's very busy.
24
That
hours is
even
busy.
during the night, 3 a.m.,
Exactly.
2 a.m., you always find cars. But then someone climbs through on top of that pole, removes the solar panel.
What about the guy who removed the whole line? You know, the railway line. Remember the electrical he removed from Harare to Gweru. That's about 280 something kilometers. It's missing.
Yeah.
Then they're not even going after the railway line itself. So you
Wow.
say, who is doing it?
You know what? If you maintain things, actually, you know what? I've noticed something. If something is left unattended,
Exactly.
there's someone who's going to notice day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. By day 5, that person is now contemplating taking that thing because no one is responsible
No one is
for it.
responsible for
But
it.
if we regularly maintain, somebody knows that if I were to try and steal any one of these things, I'll be caught because somebody is maintaining them. So we lack the maintenance culture. That's what we lack.
Would we lack the maintenance culture or we lack the work ethic?
Both.
Or
'Cause
we also lack integrity?
integrity, exactly. That's the right word. You
Eh?
said it rightfully. Integrity. We are only honest when someone is monitoring. But then when no one is monitoring,
Yeah, I've noticed
we
even
do
at work,
things.
when someone is not monitoring, it simply means that that person is going to get away with crime.
yeah.
So, in terms of probably developing our continent, what could be done as recommendations, especially probably looking like the ERP software? I've noticed, I think 3 or 4 parastatals, they've tried to implement an ERP software, but you notice that most of them, they're not working.
Yeah.
Why? Because probably the guys who are supposed to get that kind of contract are not the ones who actually got that contract.
Yeah.
It was given to this other guy.
Yes.
And this other guy probably is operating. I've noticed at one point, I noticed when we tried to apply for a tender, then when we were number 2, we missed that tender. Then when we missed that tender, the results came now.
Yeah.
And we're now looking at the website of the company which won the tender. The address is Warren Park. I'm like, hey. And you're now checking even the individuals who are working for that company.
Yeah.
There are only two.
Two people.
And they're saying, how did they want the tender? So
Yeah.
if probably if you're honest,
Mhm.
if you're going to give people according to merit,
Yeah.
if you're going to also give people jobs, because the city council also, I think they've got a tendency of also saying that if you've got a high relative who's got a high ranking,
Mhm.
you start noticing a lot of surnames, which means all these guys, you end up
Half the
having
time they are all related.
you end up having relatives working for the same company.
Mhm.
So it means that when you're going to probably say someone into your office, you want probably to discipline them. You are disciplining a relative of a certain big guy in certain office.
Yeah.
So this thing is never going to work. So I think as Africa, if we really want our things to work, if we really want to change our cities, if we really want to change our countries, we need to develop a culture of a better working culture.
Yeah.
And it starts from recruitment.
That's true.
It starts from even when you're vetting the tenders. It starts from limiting corruption. It also starts from even the maintenance culture to say, if you've put something, if it's a road, it is to be maintained.
Yeah.
Notice all the big roads which are being maintained. And I don't think that are they being maintained by council or they're being maintained by private players.
The only maintenance that I know is patching up of potholes. That's what I know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only maintenance that I've seen, patching up of potholes. And remember, a pothole is a problem that was supposed to have been solved long before. They're now reacting to a problem.
But on roads, have you ever noticed something on our roads as well?
Yeah, what happened?
These new roads.
Yeah, new roads are under construction.
The way they develop potholes within 2 years. What is the difference between... Yeah?
You know what?
I think the problem is... I think I'm pointing a finger to one source of problems.
Yeah.
Do you think the guys who are getting the tenders probably to do roads, they deserve that?
Right. So what I think is, I've seen some of the companies and they've got qualified civil engineers. What I believe is the people are qualified to make roads, but they are cutting corners to increase their profit margins. I'll give you an example. If you are building a house and you get a professional builder, the professional builder says he's going to make 10% profit. But you know they can increase their profit by charging you more cement. Then you buy the cement, then they don't use it.
They sell.
Then they sell it.
Even paint.
Yeah. So I believe that's what's happening. If you look, I watched as they dug the road. Those are old roads. The thickness of that road was very big because it was constructed a long back. But if you look at the thickness of the roads that we see, they're so thin, like so thin.
We're just now painting the dusty road black.
Exactly. So you can see that it bows back to integrity. They want to do things by the book when someone is monitoring. But really, maybe the minister who's responsible for road infrastructure development might not be there to monitor.
He doesn't even know that what is happening.
Exactly.
So on this case, you're saying it's not the government.
Yeah, in
government
this case,
is not involved. It's actually entrusting people who are being...
Actually, it's people who are taking advantage of the loopholes that exist within our government. Because really, across even the whole of Africa.
in Zambia.
Yeah.
Potholes.
You see now.
You notice these roads were done 3, 4, 5 years ago. But if you notice how deep the potholes are...
You make it seem like there's someone who literally dug a hole into the road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just shocked and to say, but someone actually repaired this road only 3 years ago. But right now, we now have big potholes. Does it mean that the government... I don't understand.
In that instance, I would like to exonerate the government. It's the contractors who are taking advantage of the lack of monitoring controls by the government.
But what are our governments supposed to also do in order for them to protect taxpayers' money? Because remember,
that's a good question.
We're charging a lot of millions per stretch, and the taxpayers are paying for that. Then when we repair something big like a road, like a bridge, 2 years down the line, it needs another contractor.
Yeah.
You and me are suffering.
Right. So what it then means is, for any sovereign nation within Africa, the government is the biggest spender.
That's the biggest customer.
Yeah. Whose money is it spending? It's spending the taxpayers' money.
Exactly.
So the same way that the government follows up on taxes should be the same way that us citizens ask for accountability from the government. the government should be accountable to its citizens. Then also the citizens will then benefit through tenders, contracts, etc. to service the government. They should also be accountable to the other citizens and to the government. So we should agree to say, I remember I don't know which country it is or what agreement it was, whereby if you build a flat, they don't pay you all the money at once. They pay you perpetually as the flat survives a certain number of years.
Okay.
So they'll tell you, before we do any corrective maintenance on this building, we don't need to do any corrective maintenance within 10 years.
Okay.
So your full payment, the last money, you get it after 10 years.
10 years.
So they pay you slowly. To ensure that the quality is something that is solid. Because if you pay someone the total sum of the money they're supposed to get,
even paid in advance.
Yeah, they'll do whatever they want because they've been paid already. Like, what calls me to the book if I've already been paid? I can just do whatever I want.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed when someone is looking for a job from you, if they want to provide a service for you, they'll call you on time. They'll call you. If you say, call me after 5 minutes, 5 minutes on the dot, they'll call you. If you say, let's meet there, they won't even complain about traffic or congestion. You find them on time. Give them the money.
After getting the money now.
Congestion, I couldn't come.
There's congestion. It's raining.
And there's no electricity.
I usually give an example when I'm doing my sales trainings of, if you ever noticed that there's a picture which circulates on social media, which has got a guy and a lady, a young lady and a young guy.
Yeah.
That was before Valentine. The young guy was busy chasing for the lady.
Yeah.
But when it was after Valentine,
the lady was now pregnant.
Lady was now pregnant.
It was running after the guy.
The guy was running away.
I saw it.
When you give someone his whole paycheck, they've got no need of coming to you tomorrow. They'll say, no, I've got everything which I wanted from this guy. So you are now the one who is now chasing for that service. So I think what we need to do is agreeing to say the service delivery. When contractors have done something like that, I think they are supposed to be banished.
Yeah, that's
to
true.
Say, no, we're not banning you. You're
They
not
no
supposed to
longer get
participate
government
in
tender.
any government tender.
Yeah.
Let us give people who are serious. Let us give people who can deliver. And also, what do you have to say? Yes, this is service delivery.
Yeah.
What do you have to also say about the timelines?
Yeah, some of the timelines that we get here are so unrealistic. I remember there was a project, the dualization of the Harare-Mtare road. There was a time when they were stuck on one section. Like, they took almost 2 months to complete a kilometer of road. They just packed the yellow machines.
What is the problem?
I don't know. I don't even understand. I think, like I was telling you, the lack of monitoring controls. Maybe when they even got the tender, there were no even clear timelines. The lack of key performance indicators. They don't have those things. So you're free to do whatever you want. So when a government official calls and says, guys, how far is that road? We've seen that progress has stopped. We'll ask, are you not seeing the yellow machines on site? We can see them. Yes, we are working. That's what happens.
Yeah, because in terms of respecting timelines, starting at the national level, going to the city council, going to the workplaces, do you think Africa we respect timelines?
Right. So it's one thing respecting them on paper. It is another thing respecting them on the ground. I'll give you a perfect example. One thing I like about time is not controlled by anyone.
Exactly.
Time is not jealous. Whatever. If you say I'll give
3 months, it will arrive.
3 months, it will arrive.
Definitely.
Our head of state has been singing the Vision 2030 mantra.
Exactly.
And he's sticking to his guns.
And thumbs up.
He never edited his vision.
Exactly.
He's sticking to his guns. And we hope by 2030 he will have achieved.
Exactly.
But I would like to point back to Sito Harare. You say that you don't have I have a problem with them. When I was growing up, there was Vision 2020. That was envisaged by Harare City Council. They wanted to turn Harare into a world-class city by
2020.
Guess what happened in 2018? They changed their vision to 2025. They now had a vision 2025.
So next year will be
smart cities.
Next year will be world-class city.
Wait. The drama goes on. 2021. In came the COVID, and there was a total lockdown. The economy was not moving so well. All the gears had ground to a stop.
Yeah.
2023, guess what they did? They now adopted His Excellency's vision.
2030.
2030.
2029, they change. 2020,
So
until
I
all
just
of us
don't
die.
know. I just don't know. I don't know anymore. So you see, it's one thing sticking to your guns on paper, and it's another sticking to your guns on the ground. Harare City Council has failed in that regard. They've since changed their vision. Maybe there was even Vision 2015. I don't know. Maybe I was too young to remember that.
I vividly remember
Yeah.
2020.
Mm.
Vision 2020, World Class City. I think
Yeah.
they started it around 2005, thereabouts.
Yeah.
But are we a world class city?
Not even anyway.
close.
Yeah. And then they gave us 2025 Smart City. And then that's when they started getting the ERPs, because they wanted to be a smart city. And none of it is working. None of it has taken off.
What about the relationship between city council and, is it called Easy Park?
Yeah, Easy Park.
What's the relationship?
Okay, so the narrative is city parking is supposed to feed into the cash basket of Harare City Council or whatever city council it is belonging to that town. So that's how they raise money to fix the drainage systems and all. So they've got these traffic marshals who are supposed to collect. Oh, funny enough, 2020, Vision 2020, the smart city, they had these digital, they wanted to do per second billing where it automatically bills as you drive. Those things are still buried under the road. They don't work.
Oh, I still remember those things.
They never worked.
They never worked.
Yeah.
But someone got his money.
Yeah, someone got paid. Yeah, because they supplied the product is there, it's buried. So anyway, back to the story. So Easy Parking now becomes a division of the Harare City Council, whatever city council it is, that is responsible for collecting all the city parking revenue.
And have you ever noticed the customer service of those guys?
Yeah, it's not so good. There are numerous videos on social media where the marshals get beaten by people for the failure. Because what then happens is, I'm supposed to jump into a meeting. Like, say I was supposed to come here and I was already late.
Exactly.
So I only have a minute to look for you and then I jump into the building.
So
I park my car. I want to pay for my parking, right?
But you don't see the marshal.
But then I look for the marshal. The marshal is not there. What do I do? Time is running. I jump into the building.
Yeah, after 1 hour,
I come back. Claimed. Guess what? They've claimed my car.
And they now want $57.
Now they say we want $57. But I looked for you. Where were you? You were supposed to be here. This is your station. This is your workplace. Where were you?
Exactly.
So now it gets so heated up to the point where they then start exchanging words and then eventually they get beaten because people are frustrated. It's not like I was trying to evade paying for my parking. I had the money and I was ready to pay. And you were not there. But you're not there.
And even these days when you pay them probably $10, you want your change.
Yeah.
They actually say, go and look for the change. We don't have any change. Go and look for it.
What manner is that?
Because they know that they will claim you.
Do you know, I was a shopkeeper at one time when I finished school. Somebody would come, they would come with a $20 note. They want something for $1. I would say, please wait a moment, I'm coming back. I would run to the other colleagues looking for change on their behalf. Then I give them their money. But then this whole business of city council say, go and look for the money yourself. What then happens if I then tell them that I wanted to pay, but your guy returned my money?
Exactly.
Because technically they returned my money.
They'll still say you claim you.
No, man. That doesn't work.
Yeah. Because it's like they're carrying a gun.
I strongly, there's something that you said in 2022. I don't know if you remember this. Yeah. You said you want to carry out a customer service exercise, like a training for all government departments.
No, that's what we're actually working on through the Chartered Vendor Sales Institute.
Yeah.
Because I strongly believe that things like customer service, they fall under sales. Mm-hmm. If you know sales, there's no way you're going to treat your potential. Because we are customers to City Council. Mm-hmm. We are customers to Easy Park. Mm-hmm. We are customers even to the government itself. Yeah. Because when I'm going there, I want my passport. I'm still a customer. Mm-hmm. I'm supposed to be treated like that. Mm-hmm. When I'm going to the registrar's office looking for a birth certificate, I want to register a company, I'm still a customer. Mm-hmm. But I was saying even doctors, when they look at you as a patient, don't look at someone as a patient. Look at him as a customer. Mm-hmm. Because when you look at him as a patient, you think that he's the one who is actually in need of you. Which is it's a wrong way to see it. This person is a customer. Huh? Yeah. So let us treat them like a customer. So that they can have customer experience. They can feel that they are welcome. Mm-hmm. the environment is not tense. It's not like, if you ever noticed, even to look at our doctors as well.
Yeah.
Thumbs up to our doctors. They've done a fantastic job during COVID-19.
Mhm.
But over to you, doctors. You notice that during the weekend, it's very hard to see doctors in Africa.
Very true.
Huh?
It's like doctors.
Doctors,
like
they'll
to
tell you
party
that
so
Friday, no, we're no longer, the surgery, all the surgeries are closed. You only
Yeah.
see a doctor on Monday.
Yeah.
So it's like
Monday morning.
people are sick from Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
Eh?
You know what? I've got a friend who's a doctor. They were actually sharing this as a joke. I asked them the same thing. Why do you guys disappear on Friday, late Friday, and then you show up on a Monday morning? Do you think we don't fall ill between the weekend?
It's like-
Actually, that's where most of the injuries happen over the weekend.
Exactly.
It was like, my friend, I spent 7 years in medical school. What did you study? Then I told him I studied engineering. And then he said, there are people who studied things like HR, they're simple to do. They were partying when we were studying. So now that we have finished, we also want to compensate and party. So we'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. So coming back to what we were saying,
Yeah.
customer service is very key for any country. You go to several European countries, you get into Asian countries, see how the customer service is on government level. Whether you get into a plane, whether you get into government institute, is top notch.
Yeah.
Because investors can be frustrated because of someone who is not professional
That's very
at government level.
That's
Probably
very true.
an investor is asking for a certain document,
Mm.
but the way they are treated, how slow we are. Sometimes someone will say, no, I'll never actually invest in this country.
Yeah.
There are people are looking at the easier way of doing business. Like
Yes.
if you notice, even when you're talking about Rwanda, the way you're going to register your company, the way you're going to do your things in Rwanda, it's fast.
It's faster.
So
yeah.
hence, that's part of customer experience. To
Yeah.
say, I got into this shop, just after a minute, I was served. People were smiling. I'm happy. The person who is serving me is also happy. But when you actually, what was being mentioned on TikTok to say, in Nigeria, in Ghana, sometimes you have to actually, you're supposed to be on the queue at around 4 a.m.
You see now.
You see, so that actually frustrates investment. So as the president is going out looking for foreign direct investment, when the investors come, there's no one who's monitoring them now when they come into the country.
Yeah.
They start going to various government departments and they're now being handled. One thing is most of our government departments in Africa are manual. So it means people are going to be slow.
Yeah.
When they are
Queues.
also slow, the way they are going to be treated. So they were
Don't
saying,
forget to mention that we love our tea breaks. Of course, we are going to go for tea and leave the queue there.
our lunch,
Tea,
1.5
the lunch,
hours. Our
yes.
tea, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So it simply means that this guy now who has actually come all the way from Russia, all the way from Britain, all the way from China, they're now getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Hence, I think it's another episode we're actually talking about the way we are supposed to pay taxes. It's like when you want to also pay your taxes, it's also even difficult for you to pay your taxes.
Then you end up
So
not
someone
paying.
will not pay.
Yeah.
Because they have a justification of not paying.
Yeah.
So if we can actually train to say, Minister of Justice, when you see someone walking in, is a customer.
Yes.
When you see someone walking into the Ministry of Transport,
They're
a customer. They're supposed to be treated
Like
like customers.
customers. Yeah.
And also, if you treat someone well, when you're working for the government, one day you want to leave that desk in government. You want to start working for private sector. Someone will just say no, because the way you handled me that day, I think I can give you employment. The way you handled my transaction that day, I think I can give you a chance in my company. There are people who end jobs because they treated people well. Whether it's policemen, whether it's soldiers, those guys are now running big security companies on behalf of other investors. But when you treat someone in a bad way, you are selling a wrong name. You are tarnishing the government name. You're also tarnishing your name.
Yeah.
Because
that's
people
true.
remember.
There are people don't forget.
They don't
Frustration,
forget.
People don't forget.
So that's why you
frustration.
notice that people, when they ask you in an interview, you've worked for the government.
They
They
don't
just
want
say,
to associate
your
with
culture. They want to infuse that culture into their company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at one of the notorious places, the central registry where people register their bets and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think we need to start there and train them customer service. Specifically, we need a tender. I don't know. Please, if you're listening and you're responsible, give us the tender to train customer service in those areas. And since you're firing shots at institutions, I would like to point at banks. I don't know what's wrong with Zimbabwean banks, but I'll always come back. Right. So this one is a genuine. No, I'm not throwing shade at banks, but this one is genuine. You know what Zimbabwean banks have done? They've got bank tellers. Then there are security companies who assist the banks. The security guys, they are not part of the bank. They are a security company providing a service to the bank. So this one is more like advice to the banks. Please don't let security personnel handle your clients.
That's true.
How does a security officer tell me which queue to stand in? When I want to replace my card, do they work in the bank or they're there to provide security?
Exactly.
Sometimes we could be standing outside and the money maybe is finished. We wanted to get cash, but the money is finished.
Yeah.
The security guard will come and tell you rudely, move away from this place. There's no more money. Go back, come back tomorrow.
Go back, exactly.
It's supposed to be done by a bank teller who comes and greets the people
who
outside.
Was actually trained to do that
handle
job.
The customer. Do you know that I've since changed banks because of that?
Me too.
And I never told the bank that I was frustrated by their security officer.
Me too. Actually, I've changed even branches.
You see now.
Sometimes you now end up looking for a best friend.
Yeah.
Or for a friend.
Yeah.
You're supposed to befriend someone in a bank
so that
for you to get the right service.
You see now. It shouldn't work like that.
So,
because
sometimes when that person is on leave, I'm actually scared going to that bank. Because when I'm not known,
you don't know.
It simply means that the service is going to change.
Exactly.
And it starts with the security guard, like, you're telling me what happened to me in the morning.
You see now.
I'm like, give me a withdrawal slip. The security guard is like, because it's trained
with an attitude. They're a security personnel.
It's a security personnel.
Exactly.
So whenever he's asked about something, he doesn't think like he's got no customer service.
Yeah.
He doesn't think of a customer.
Yeah.
To him, he's thinking of a criminal.
Exactly.
You see?
So, banks, please take this advice. If I own a security company, Steve Security Services, I train my guards how to identify threats, how to securely guard a facility,
exactly,
how to carry out their duties. When you take my security services and put them at your bank, don't think or assume that they understand banking. They will protect your ATM machines. They will protect the facility. They will identify threats and they will block entrance into the bank.
But definitely they're never going to.
But they don't treat your customers the way you are supposed to treat them. So there's a huge disconnect between the marketing message by the bank.
Exactly.
They tell you convenience, etc.,
exactly,
customer service. But then when I get to the bank, before I even get inside,
there's customer decency.
I am already pushed back by the security officer by the gate.
Like
so
Rena.
Please, banks, take this piece of advice seriously because you're bleeding out customers by the day.
And the cake is also shrinking in the banking sector. That's why you notice that this also goes back to how the economy functions. Because people may say, no, people like blaming the government too much.
Yeah.
Including the banks,
including
the industry. But if you notice that most of these problems are actually created by the private sector itself.
Yeah.
A guard has actually treated me badly. In other banks, busy banks, the guard is actually standing at the door, controlling the queue, like what you have said.
Yeah.
Treating people badly. I don't even enjoy that queue. To the extent that now, when I want to go and deposit my money, have you ever been frustrated whilst you want to deposit your money?
Yeah.
Huh?
I have.
You want to deposit your money, but you get frustrated. And these guys are also complaining that there's no Forex in the bank. But I want to deposit.
Here I am. I want to give you that money that you don't have.
I don't have.
And you're frustrating
and they're
me.
frustrating
I'll
me.
turn around with my money.
Exactly. Then end of the day, I don't bank. Who is going to suffer more? The government will suffer. The taxpayer will suffer. The ordinary person on the street will suffer because there's no foreign currency.
Do you know what the governor said during after the presentation of the budget? Sometime when they were now doing some reconsideration.
The former or the current? The John Mashawan or
no,
John,
the outgoing.
The John Mangwij guy.
Do you know what he said?
Dr. John
he said it has increasingly become difficult to look for money outside.
So
we're now looking for money inside. So that means more tax.
Your tax.
They want to tax us.
Exactly.
But then look at the infrastructure and facilities that are supposed to help.
Be collecting the taxes.
They are frustrating.
They're frustrating. Because even right now, talk about Zimra. I believe that you've noticed that Zimra motto is we are here to serve.
Yeah.
But is it what is happening?
Yeah, they saving.
Exactly. Because the question is, when you're serving, it's a matter of saying, I'm a customer.
Yeah.
When I'm going to Zimra, I've interacted with a lot of entrepreneurs. It's not like they don't want to be compliant, but they're even scared if you just mention the word Zimra. So it's more like Zimra, they're more like soldiers.
Yeah.
Whenever they see a Zimra officer, to them they've seen an enemy. So if you notice, even when Zimra officer mean good, there's what is called customer care. They want to educate the small to medium enterprises. But then when they just hear that it is a conference of you are invited by Zimra Cresta. So they'll start asking, are they going to record the names of our companies? You see? So to them, it's more like it's witch hunt.
Yeah.
But we are supposed to be free when we're at Zimra. Same applies, you're supposed to be free when we're at ZRP.
Yeah.
ZRP is supposed to be our friends.
Very
I'm supposed
friendly,
to feel safe when I see a police officer.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to feel safe when I see a soldier. Way back, people used to feel even safe when they see Zimra officers.
Yeah.
To say, no, this is an officer. So he's someone who works for government. So I would rather ask this person for directions.
Yeah.
But right now, people are like, what about if he's going to ask me for text?
What if they just recognize me and then they ask for their money,
You see?
Yeah.
So, like what you're saying, customer service is supposed to be at the top of the president himself, the way he preaches, the way he accommodates youths, the way he's accommodative. I think the Second Republic is more accommodative than the First Republic. Absolutely. In terms of being closer to people. Yeah. But I'm saying now, as much as the president has done that, is it the same information which is being driven down there by the ministers? Is it the same information which is being driven down there by the commissioners? Is it easy for me to access the commissioner? It's supposed to be very easy. Yeah. In other countries, it's so easy to access some people at the top. If you look at 10 Downing Street in London, anyone can go there. People can take pictures there. Yeah. Sometimes you can even see the Prime Minister there. Yeah. But I'm saying access of information. That's why you notice the officer now is down there. It's easy for him to actually abuse power, abuse people, because the CEO is sitting pretty in their office. They don't know what is happening at the branch, like what you're saying at the bank. Yeah. Therefore, you are not on the ground. Hence, you never know what is happening, how your officers are treating customers. Yeah. How the officer is supposed to serve clients is now also delegating duties to the security guard.
You see now. So let's move on to the other issues that we highlighted. We were saying that Zimbabwe has gone online in terms of company registration, and the timing just has to be perfect, don't you think? Remember, we were complaining last time, and then like 2 weeks later, then the whole thing is now online.
So they're not saying we must re-register.
They did a good thing. I applauded for having the company registration.
So thumbs up, government.
Yeah, we've clapped our hands.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I've got issues now.
Which issues?
I've got big issues. No, wait, like you can't as a government department do things without doing a stakeholder meeting to understand how that's going to affect them. Do you know what it means that they just woke up? Okay, remember there was the memorandum of association, whatever that document.
Memorandum and articles of association, yeah.
With the new system, those are not important anymore. So 100%. For those who have them, they might as well just ban them. Yeah. But guess who is requiring those documents for you to open a bank account?
Banks.
Did they get the memo that they're no longer necessary?
No. Oh, no, they want them. Oh,
you see
they also even need the CRA too. They ask for that document. It's not necessary.
Now, tell me something. What will happen to an entrepreneur who wants to open a bank account so that they can pay their taxes? They only have a certificate of incorporation. The bank says, in fact, it's not the bank. The security guard was told that there's a memorandum of association and articles, whatever.
No, if you don't have that, so go away.
The person will say, I've come to open a bank account. Can I please have the bank account opening forms? The security guard, do you have the requirements? I'm like, yes, I have the requirements. Then like, can I see them? Then they see this. Then they ask, where's the
CR6?
CR, where are the other directors? Where is this? But it's no longer required. So they've turned away a customer who wanted to give them business because the security guard is the one who pushed them away. And the tellers are not even aware. They'll even record in their report to say, no one came to open a corporate account today.
But
there were dozens of people who were turned away by the
and they're
security
making
officer.
it difficult for people to open bank accounts.
Right. The other thing, guess who else requires those CR6, the memorandum and whatever? PRAZ, the Procurement Regulation Authority of Zimbabwe. Have they received the memo that it's no longer a requirement? Not yet. I will register my company today and immediately I want PRAZ because I want to apply for a tender
When
to
you don't have
train
the certificates,
the government
no,
departments for
won't
customer
give you.
service. They will not give me. They will tell you your requirements
Zimbra
are
requires
missing.
those documents as well.
Guess what? I'm going to go to their online platform that they made for convenience. Part of the documents that I need to upload
CR6,
is the
CR5.
CR6. And they are even, when you know a field is important and needed, they put a star.
It's compulsory.
That it's compulsory. So you cannot proceed without. So they consult these other stakeholders? Because remember now Zimra has to erase certain fields off their database. They have to redo the front-end interface.
And you never know how much
it's
time
going to take.
it take to
do you know that when they first launched the TAM system, it crashed? And they said we are temporarily going back to the old system for those who want to do their KPIs and whatnot. Then they fixed the issues and then the bugs were sorted and then it was now working. So now they're asking Zimra to go back to the drawing board to change the databases and how they're connected. There's a... Did they consult?
Isn't it terms were supposed to... My understanding was this, they were supposed to have one system.
Yeah.
I noticed in Zambia they use one system,
Mm-hmm.
which integrates the registrar of company. It integrates their Zimra. It's called ZRA.
Yeah.
It also integrates their NASA.
Mm-hmm.
Their NASA type. I think their NASA is NIMA or NAPSA, the National Pension Scheme. Yeah. So it integrates everything. I thought this system was supposed to integrate when you register a company.
Mm-hmm.
In Zambia, when you just register a company, immediately you get your tax clearance.
Wow. So,
and I also thought the same system was supposed to be integrated. Also, banks were supposed to be given
clients.
No, like it was supposed to be when I get into the bank. There's no need for the bank to start asking for documents because they also access similar information in the database which they have, which is given by the registrar of companies. They just need to check. I want to check Steve security. Steve security is registered under number 112 and the directors are so and so and so. Fine. Then we're done. Rather than where you have banks who still ask for the directors to be present when they want to open bank accounts. Especially right now in Zimbabwe, I've seen that culture, but in Zambia it's better. In South Africa, it's also better because you can open a bank account whilst they're not even there.
Yeah.
But in Zim, you're supposed to be physically present.
There.
So it means someone in the UK cannot open a bank account.
I loved when me, myself, and a group of friends, we registered a company because we wanted to venture into agriculture. So we had put resources together. So there was 18 of us. So, the consultant who did the company for us told us, no, there's no need for you to be all 18 because it's going to be cumbersome for you.
Directors, yeah.
So they were only listed, I think, 4 of us. The bank wanted to see all 4 of us.
Exactly. Imagine if you're 18.
So guess what happened? Some of the people who were listed were coming from towns outside of Harare. Do you know what the bank did? We left our forms there in the list of the directors. So anyone would come at their convenience and identify themselves by the bank, and the bank would stamp and say identified. Stamp identified. So we only got the account opened after all 4 of us had visited the bank.
Which is cumbersome.
You see now. Imagine if we had a tender that was waiting for us to supply. We'd have missed it.
Exactly. It doesn't so the system is okay. I love the system.
Yeah.
I love that we're now online. And I also love that Zimra has also made serious steps of making everything being online, which is a good step.
Yeah.
It's a good step with the registrar. But why can't we integrate these systems?
Yeah, they need to be integrated. But the number one reason that comes to mind, it's the issues to do with accountability. Do you know the bad thing about technology? It keeps track of everything. If things are written on paper, you can just manipulate. You can manipulate. Paper. You can just remove and say, "Oh no, I can't find the page where I wrote it." But if it's a computer system, it will have a backup of a backup in a redundant server somewhere. So we'll get a record of everything that happened. We'll tell you that you logged into the system on this day. You withdrew this amount of money and you did A, B, C, and D because everything will be there.
There's paper trail.
So once there's paper trail, it might be difficult for certain people to
audit
benefit.
trail is available.
Yeah, it will be difficult
For people to benefit.
to benefit.
So what is it? What is going to happen with the people now?
Yeah, obviously the people will suffer. And is clearly stated, we have suffered. I mean, you've changed the bank, I've changed the bank, you've even changed the branch, I've changed the branch as well.
Within that
people
bank
continue-
also I had to change the branch.
You see now. So people will continue to suffer, but then we are only making ourselves suffer. I mean, we can do better, man. We can do better as Africans. We can do better.
So is it a matter of mindset? Is it a matter of ignorance?
It's not ignorance. Do you know why I say it's not ignorance? I've got friends of mine who used to cut corners at work and would do things by cutting corners. Then eventually they felt that Zimbabwe was a hot pot and then they went to Europe. They're not cutting corners in Europe. So it's not ignorance. We know what's supposed to be done.
But the system allows that.
Exactly. So I strongly think that we need to have a culture where we have key performance indicators. I like what the president.
KPIs.
Yeah, I like what the president did.
To say ministers are supposed to also keep
They have
KPIs.
their key performance indicators to say, if you're in the Ministry of Information, we need to know how much coverage are you getting in the country in terms of disseminating national information. It's a key performance indicator. So it's his or her responsibility as the Minister of Information, Broadcasting and Publicity to ensure that every corner of Zimbabwe receives a radio signal for coverage, or they get printed media, or they get some form of organized structure where people can get information. Because remember, we had cholera recently, we had the vaccination that was happening for the kids. If the infrastructure for disseminating the information is not there, there are some areas where people may even die of polio because they never got information about vaccination. So the minister is supposed to get a key performance indicator that expects him to make sure that he covers. Same applies to maybe the road and infrastructure development minister, someone who's responsible for that.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to have a key performance indicator that tells them that public transport should be there and functional. People should choose to drive, but the transport being there. It's a key performance indicator.
Like right now, how can the Minister of Defense going to get a prize when there's no railway system?
You see now. So those are the key performance indicators, and they need to be publicized so that behind the closed doors where they rate each other, as citizens, we can also check to say, why is this one getting a reward when we don't have a functional railway system? You see now. Do you know that our kids are having to learn about the trains in textbooks?
They don't even know a train.
But we have a functional railway line. Why don't you resuscitate the thing for passengers? Like, why? Let's leave it there. But you know what? Throughout this whole conversation, I kept my throat soothed with this water.
Water.
And I must comment though, there's some brands that I've bought from the shops. The water tastes a bit acidic. Like
Exactly.
I don't know how it
This one
tastes
is poor.
but this one it's pure water. It doesn't have an aftertaste. It doesn't, like, it's just water and it's so refreshing.
Yeah.
And
African water.
it's proudly Zimbabwean. I think we need to export these to Zambia, South Africa, and all. So that
Exactly.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for tuning into this podcast. If you like this conversation, please show by liking the video, as it helps with the algorithm, and also comment, interact with us in the comment section. We'll do an episode where we just look at the questions and the comments that you pass through, and then have a discussions from that. But otherwise, from me to you, peace out. See you next week.